Stop recording button. Double tap to activate.
Hello, my yarn loving friends. Yes, this video is about yarn, okay? And I'm hoping, if you don't know yet, hi, my name's May. I love yarn, I love to knit and crochet. And I also happen to be visually impaired. And that's why I try to record when it's darker in a dark room, because I am light sensitive. And if you're a returning viewer, of course you know that. Thank you for your patience while I explain that to my new viewers. So, if you're new, that's the summary. If you want more info, you can check out my introduction video. So anyways, I'm recording this on the night of April 30th and hoping it'll post overnight on May 1st. What is May 1st? Yeah, it is. It is May Day. It is the start of the month of May. Yes, I do claim it as my day and my month. You know it. Is my name spelled the same? No, it's not. My name's a Chinese spelling. M-E-I. Yes, I was named after a Chinese woman named Mei Wong. But it's still pronounced like the month, and I still claim it. And if you knit and crochet, then you know what May is? May is stitch every day in May. That's the theme for the month. So if you knit or you crochet or you cross stitch or you sew or you quilt, well, that's sort of the goal. Stitch every day, even if it's just a little bit. Carve out a little bit of your day to stitch every day in May. And what do I love even more about May? It is springtime. Springtime is on everywhere. And spring, well, not everywhere. I guess you folks down in like Australia, southern hemisphere, well, it's going into fall for you. But everywhere in the northern hemisphere, okay, it's springtime. Spring is my favorite season, my absolute favorite season. It is the time of new life, new birth, new beginnings. All the plants start to green up, flowers start to grow, people plant their gardens, baby animals are born. I grew up in an agricultural area, and the agricultural farm stores would be full of little baby chicks, little baby ducks, baby bunnies, little baby lambs, and calves are all born in the spring. That is everything spring to me. Plus, my dad used to garden. My grandma, the one who I mentioned before, who knits and crochets, gardens, and my neighbors next door used to garden. And so for me, those are some of my best memories, was being out in the garden with my dad and my grandma and my neighbor. So of course, as springtime comes around, I am seeing all of these. If you don't know yet, I've been knitting for almost 16 years and I love knitting, okay? I'm new to crochet. I've been crocheting for less than a year. But one thing that I love is all the flowers and the potential, right? I've shown this on here before. This is the sunflower dishcloth. If you're blind or visually impaired, it is brown in the center. I used the lily sugar and cream, and then I did the petals in the yellow and the creme brulee, which is the Knit Pig Sweet Crochet Dishy. I love that. And then just this week, I saw Jayda in Stitches. If you don't follow her yet, you certainly should if you crochet. She was making these cute little flowers. Now I chose to do mine with a yellow center, again the creme brulee, and I used my Fiesta red and dishy for the petals. And now she was saying you could just leave these just like this for a coaster, and I just might do that. I think these make the cutest little coasters. I think they say spring, they say color, they say flowers, so much. And so I was thinking about just leaving them as cute little cotton coasters to lay around my house. I mean, that's cute. Or I could make a set of like 4 or 6. They're super handy to have for gifts, right? You get invited over to somebody's house for dinner. little housewarming, little gift, right? Or somebody gets a new housewarming gift, little set of crochet coasters, little flowers. These are so cute. But of course, she was teaching us how to square them off. So I went ahead and practiced that. Because I'm new to crochet, I know most people, one of the first things they do learn is the granny square. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not very good at the granny square yet, okay? I'm not. You can tell from my first one, my chains were a little bit tight. And so my squares, my second square is definitely a little bit bigger than my first square, just a little bit. I do think if I block the first one, I'll probably block them all. I don't enjoy blocking, it's tedious, but I do think I can't even find my blocking boards, okay? But I think I might try to block these, even if I just have to wet block them on a towel, so that I can try to get them the same size. Now, what am I gonna do with them yet? I'm not totally sure, but that's not gonna stop me from making a whole bunch of them, because they make me happy, right? Even if I just have a whole bunch of coasters around, they're easy and they make me happy. So I might do that, but I also might make some into blocks. I am thinking about possibly a tote bag. Obviously, though, the holes in the corners are just a little bit too big, I think, for a market, even like a market bag. I don't know. I think even market bag, the holes might be a little bit too big, unless I line it somehow. And that's my thought. That's where my brain's going right now. Maybe line it. And if you don't know the whole visual impairment thing, I cannot sew straight, right? You see, when I do my skirts, I love to knit and crochet skirts, right? Here they are, that pile of them. This is the most recent one I've shown, the one in Astoria Tonal where I did the knit and crochet. I do my waistband, and I've showed you, demonstrated that. I did a whole video on whip stitching the waistband of this blue and gray one in the Astoria Tonal. If you didn't see that and you want to learn how to whip stitch and how to design skirts, you can certainly check out that video. And I talk you through, there's actually two. There's one video on skirt design with this skirt, and there's another one just on whip stitching. So, but I explained to you how I do the waistband and how I have to do this turning row so that I have a straight row that I can feel. So I can't really sew straight because the whole visual impairment thing. But that doesn't mean that I'm not still entertaining the idea of trying to figure out how to make a tote bag and line it with these granny squares. My little brain is just busy coming up with ideas for that. It is. I can't help it. I'm thinking still about doing like a 9, like 3 horizontal, 3 vertical, so a 9 panels on each side for a tote bag. So I'd probably end up making 18 squares, and then figuring out how to either sew with fabric, which I don't even own fabric. I'd have to use some scraps or buy some because I really can't sew, or getting like a canvas tote bag and sewing them into that. So I haven't really, I've never even sewn granny squares together yet. So obviously I'm gonna need to find a tutorial on that and figure out if that's even something I can manage. Because if you watched any of my videos, like with my skirts that I knit, right, here's the Story Total one again, you know that I knit in the round as much as possible. Or I do things that are top down, like Mr. Bear's sweater, right? His sweater was done top down, raglan style, where I just increased for the arms so that I don't have to seam. I avoid sewing and seaming whenever possible because it's so hard for me. So I've never sewn granny squares together before. I don't even know if I can do it straight or not, or how bad it's gonna look. But I might try it. I can't lie. I love these flowers because I love spring, because I love flowers so much. They make me so happy. I'm thinking about that. Can I manage that? Can I figure out how to do that? How to even sew the squares together? So I am thinking of so many projects. I will try to link up. That was a live video with Jayda. It was her usual Monday morning, except she didn't have a Monday morning show. She did a Tuesday morning show, but I'll try to link that up in the description box so you can find it and you can make these happy, fun little flowers. Keep them as coasters, make them as squares, whatever makes you happy. So, I've also seen Jayda does a sunflower square. I think Jayda does some of the best Granny Squares tutorials, and Krista at the Secret Yarnery. If you don't follow either one of those two, they do some of the best Granny Square and flower tutorials. And Krista has got a whole flower scape, gardenscape cowl. I think she's got like 12 of them or something. Where she did a blanket with them, and you could do a blanket, or you could make them, they're all different, or you could make yours all different or all the same. She's got a daisy and a sunflower, a chrysanthemum. I believe she's got a daffodil and roses, and you can do all these different ones for a blanket, or you could put them together for a scarf. I just see so much potential. And then of course there's just a blanket, right? I mean, these happy little cheery squares would make a really cute little blanket too. So there's always that. And I was thinking about my problem for me. I don't have a lot of yellow yarn in my stash. I don't. And I'm trying so hard not to buy a lot more yarn, right? Budget and space. I mentioned that in several videos. Budget and space, right? So, but I've been knitting for about 16 years, and I've been told my whole life I do not look good in yellow. So I don't buy a lot of yellow yarn. And then the other thing I like to make besides wearables for me is baby blankets. And I don't usually make baby blankets in yellow. Not that it is a nice color, but, you know, in case a baby's kind of jaundicey when they're born, a yellow blanket doesn't really help that situation. So I tend to avoid yellow baby blankets. I tend to do white and creams and pinks and blues, or like a nice mint green or something, but I tend to avoid the yellow. So I don't even have like baby blanket yarn in yellow. I do have a little of the canary from the Victorian Star blanket behind me in the 6 colors, and the browns and the greens and the canary. I do have just a little bit of that canary left. So I am thinking about that, either for centers, for a blanket. And I could use Jayda's pattern and just do the yellow and the red and some greens. Or I could do a sunflower blanket, but that would also involve yellow, right? Brown and yellow and green and green. And also the whole colorblind thing. I am terrible about putting colors together. I mean, terrible. I did put the colors together for the Victorian Star, but I did have to text pictures to my mom and my sister. If you don't know that yet, that's how I do matching colors. I text pictures to my mom and my sister. So I don't know if I could put together the colors for a blanket, but I am thinking about a blanket of some type, of a floral blanket, either from Jayda Square or from Sunflower Squares or something. I do love sunflowers, as you can tell from the dishcloth. And I did post a video yesterday. Well, actually, it's for today, for April 30th, which if you didn't know, April 30th is International Guide Dog Day. And I have had 3 guide dogs in the past. I don't have one now, just because I'm not working and not going to school and all that, and I live miles from a bus stop, so I'm not walking and living a real active life anymore. But I did during my high school and my college, and during my basically my late teens, 20s, and early 30s for 17 years. I had 3 guide dogs, and I made a video about that if you're interested in the guide dog topic at all on my channel. And in that, I show a picture of me in high school with my very first guide dog, and I'm wearing this big straw hat with this sunflower on it, and I love sunflowers. I even grew sunflowers when I lived with a boyfriend. We grew the giant ones that were so tall I had to climb on a ladder to touch the heads. The heads of the sunflowers were bigger than my head. They were massive sunflowers. I loved them. They made me so happy. Their heads would get so heavy on them, they would literally bend over and break if we didn't clip them off and dry them out. So we had to leave them to get big enough, but not too big that they would get too heavy and the head would just bend over. So I love sunflowers, so I am thinking about doing a sunflower blanket or a blanket with the Jayda ones, but I'm struggling, of course, with putting colors together. But I do, as you know, if you listen to my videos, I just get full of ideas. As soon as I see something like this, I get full of ideas. I'm thinking about even like a granny square bucket hat. These are made with a dishy, and I think they're probably just a little bit too big for a bucket hat. These will go, in my opinion, this is a number 4. It'd be a little bit too big for a bucket hat. I'd probably want to use a number 3 weight yarn, in my opinion, for a bucket hat for granny squares. But I am still, even though I haven't figured out how to sew yet, I'm still thinking market tote. I'm thinking blankets, not in the dishy, even though I love dishy for kitchen stuff and for coasters. I don't think I'd make a blanket out of dishy. I think I'd go with acrylic or wool or acrylic wool blend. Something like behind me, the Victorian Star is made out of the Knit Picks Brava Bulky. Probably a Knit Picks We Crochet. And probably the Brava Worsted number 4 or the Brava Bulky. Or Knit Picks We Crochet has a Mighty Stitch. And of course Premier Yarns has their basics acrylics. Probably an acrylic, something washable, right? I like my blankets washable. So probably something washable. But you know, the other thing, I was literally looking at these squares, and if you know yet, you know, right? I love to combine knitting and crochet. I'm holding up, if you're blind or visually impaired, I do, if you're sighted, I do try to describe things on my channel for other people who are blind or visually impaired, because I really want everybody, including people who are blind or visually impaired, to knit and crochet. It's something you can totally do tactily. So I try to describe things. So I'm holding up this holly berry skirt that's been on here many times. It is holly berry at the top. It is knit in just plain old stockinette. It is an A-line skirt, and then it has this white crochet ruffle at the bottom. I designed this myself, and I've got, of course, my shorts. These are the planetarium shorts in the dark, dark blue, and they have crochet ruffle on the bottom. And I have the Astoria skirt. It's the grays and the blue that's knit at the top and crochet at the bottom. So you know I love to combine knitting and crochet, because I just think that crochet is super flexible, where you can just get these really fun lacy patterns like the ripples and the points on the Astoria tonal skirt. You can get ruffles like on the shorts. So and you can do the flowers, right? That stuff that you just can't do with knitting. As much as I love knitting, you can't do this stuff with knitting. But then at the same time, for clothing, right, there's the crochet is just a little bit too loose, in my opinion, for some garments, right? You can get a nice tightly sewn garment if you crochet with really, really small hooks, and there are people who do that. They crochet with like a 3mm hook and single crochet, so they make tops, right, and shorts and bottoms and all kinds of stuff with crochet. But to me, I'm not as comfortable. I feel like the holes in crochet are just a little bit big. But I still like my clothing to be modest, right? On my bust and certain areas of my body, right? Keep the private parts private, right? So I like to keep certain things covered. And so I feel like you get that with knitting. You get a nice, tight, dense fabric with knitting that I can feel comfortable wearing these skirts and feel like nothing's showing. And then once I get past, you know, a certain length, I can just move into my crochet. So I thought I was playing around with these squares. I was thinking, what about a top? Not in dishy, but some type of cotton summer top where I could make like 6 of these and they could go below my bust, right? Below my bust to my waist. And I could do like probably for my body, probably 6, 3 in the front, 3 in the back, and do 6 of those around the waist, and then do the top, the bust area in knitting. So once again, I could do what I love to do, which is combine knitting and crochet into something totally fun, totally unique, totally cute. So that just occurred to me as well. Oh my gosh. Wow. Fun. So I don't know. I just see things like this and I get my brain just starts going with ideas. I get like more ideas than I can make. And then when I get in between projects, I just finished a great big scarf. I get sort of that overwhelmed of what to do next. As you can tell, I just cast on some blue for like a baby hat. And now I'm going back to making the granny squares. My mind gets overwhelmed with projects. I'm trying to design a baby hat while I think about what to do with my granny squares. And yeah, so part of me still wants to make little baby hats, and part of me, I'm designing a cardi in my head, and then I'm designing a top or a blanket with granny squares. My mind, I feel like my mind, when I'm awake these days, I feel like all that I'm doing is designing knit and crochet projects. It's a little overwhelming in my head where I really struggle with what to do and how to do it and how to lay them out and how to organize them, all the stuff. So yeah, so that's what spring is for me. That's why I'm super excited about it, May, because it's my month. Happy May Day, y'all. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's spring. You're welcome. Yeah, so I love this time of year. And I've gardened in the past. I've had a rose garden. I've had vegetable garden. You think I'd have a garden here because I'm on 5 acres, but I don't, because this house was built, can you believe it, 9 years and 4 months ago. I moved into this house. I've been here that long, and the basement's still not done. So we're not even going to worry. We don't worry about the outdoors until the indoors are done. So it hasn't been landscaped. It's not set up for a garden. Plus, we got wildlife out here. We got rabbits, we got deer, we got coyotes, we got badgers, and they all get into stuff. So I think for me to have a garden here, I'd probably have to be able to keep it fenced off and a little more protected. So we have some plum trees on the property. And even that, the deer and the coyotes will actually jump up and grab our plums off our plum trees. The deer will actually like climb up the trees. They'll get on their hind legs and stand up there and pull the plums down and eat the plums. And the coyotes do the same thing. The coyotes will jump up, or they'll get up on their hind legs and they'll grab them. So, which, I can't blame them. They're hungry and the plums are out there and it's summer and plums are, they're good. So I don't blame them. I'm not mad that the deer and the coyotes eat the plums, but I would probably have to have a garden space that's close to the house, that's fenced off. And I'm not saying that coyotes and deer don't jump fences, because they do, for sure. And bunnies get under them, and the bunnies would be eating all my lettuce. But, so I haven't figured out a good way to secure a garden space close to the house here that would be protected from the wildlife, all those things. So it's odd, because when I lived in the middle of the city in Portland, right, I had a big garden where I planted fruit trees and apple trees and peach trees and had lettuce and arugula and tomatoes and mint and green onions, and I grew all the things when I lived in Portland. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So that's a topic for another video, though, gardening when you're visually impaired. But I recommend it if you have the space for it at all. I loved my dad's garden. I loved my grandma's garden. I love my neighbor's garden. So for me, since I don't have a garden here, I love the idea of crochet and bringing the garden inside, right? That's the beauty of crochet, is I can just bring the garden inside. I don't have to worry about the wildlife eating it. I don't have to water it. I don't have to worry about the animals getting into it. I just make my own with my hook and my yarn, and voila, I got flowers in the house. I don't have to worry about my sister, who's allergic to almost every flower. And so when she comes to visit, I couldn't have them in the house anyways. So, yeah. So I am super inspired. I'm super excited. If I can, I'm going to link up this video from Jayda in the description box so you too can make coasters. You can make some tote bags. Tell me. I'd love to hear from you. Do you like to do the floral granny squares? Did you do this one with Jayda? Have you done them? What do you do with them? Are you just making the coasters? Are you doing blankets? Are you doing scarves? Tote bags? Like, I would love to hear from other people on what their ideas are when they see these. I get full of ideas, so I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear from you on other, besides Jayda and Krista, from the Secret Yarnery. Who else do you know of who does granny square flowers like this? That get you really inspired. I think Glenda might, from Creative Grandma, she might have some. I'm not sure. I haven't really looked on her page yet for those. But I would just love to hear from you on if you've made them, what you use them for. I think it's so fun here on YouTube to just share our ideas and our projects and get inspired from each other. That's what I love about watching my favorite YouTube people. And I hope that I can do that for you, that I can get you excited and inspired with crochet, with ideas, right? I mean, it's fun to make other people's projects, and I'll probably use Jayda's as a base and then do my own stuff, but it's also fun to create our own. It's like once I get an idea and see something like this, my mind just goes. It goes and goes. So, yeah, I think that's the fun. That's why I watch all these other channels. And I would just love to hear from you, what you're working on, what you're doing, what other resources do you have for making them. Say hello in the comment section. And if you like this video, you can hit the like button so that YouTube knows that you enjoyed this video. And subscribing to a YouTube channel is free. That's right. You can subscribe to my channel for free, and then you won't miss any of my content. And I think I'm just gonna close with what I often close with, right? Which is that creativity is for everybody. Whether you see or you see like me, which is, no color and not in the daylight, not so much, or you don't see it all, creativity is for you. And whether it's knitting or crocheting or sewing or quilting or beading or sculpting or painting or whatever it is that you do, today is a great day to craft and create. So thank you so much for stopping by and choosing to spend a little bit of your day with me. Your time is valuable. So when you choose to hang out with me, thank you for choosing that, because I know there's so many channels out there that you could be listening to. Alrighty, well, I think that's all for now. I'm going to say bye-bye, and in a moment, as usual, if you do watch to the end, I will turn on the light for a second so that people who need more light to see can see what these look like in the light of day. Or in the light. Hey, it's not daylight. In the light.
Pause button.
Okay, well, here is just a plain flower, which I might leave as just a flower for a coaster. And if you're blind or visually impaired, it is creme brulee, which is a pale yellow in the middle, and it is a fiesta red, which I think is supposed to be a bright reddish orange for the petals. And then this is it squared up. That's what I'm thinking, tote bag. So it's the same flower, and then it's got a couple of rows of the bright green jalapeno, and then we did some single crochet on the edging. And then this is my sunflower dishcloth with the brown, that's the lily sugar and cream, which is brown, and then it's the same creme brulee for the petals, and that's from Mikey from the Crochet Crowd. So as always, thanks for listening, and feel free to leave me a comment just to say hello. Let me know where you're watching from and what you're working on. What's on your needles? What's on your hooks? Let me know. All right. Thank you and bye-bye. Have a great day.
Pause.